How's it going, guys? Casey here with the Coyote Works channel. Well, we're off on another weekend adventure, and this one is going to be all about history and finding a whole series of lost homestead sites that are out here. But first, I'm just checking out this little road right here, and I wanted to make sure it was passable, make sure we could get across this dike. And I think where this first potential home site is going to be is about a half a mile or so that way. So we're going to camp tonight in the back of the pickup truck on the site of one really cool homestead. And I've actually thrown a couple of pictures up of it on my Instagram, so a few of you may have seen some glimpses of it. But we're going to go through it in a lot more detail on this trip. And with a little luck, there should be at least 2 other homestead sites. And then there's going to be even a 4th that's going to be a little bit more of a long shot, and I'm not 100% sure if we'll be able to find it. All right, we got some debris in the ground here. Looks like old fuel can. So I think we're getting warm. So we're going to camp in the back of the pickup truck underneath the soft topper, Grandpa's truck, or as I like to call it, the Overlander. So I'll show you guys a little bit of that setup, how I sleep in the back of the truck, and then I'm also going to show you guys some of my camp setup. We'll have a good camp meal tonight, and all in all, it's just going to be a great trip. All right, guys, I think I see something up ahead here. What a beautiful place for a homestead, though, out across these meadows. And back in the era of these homesteads, what they would have done is they would have grown wheat and potentially rye out across these fields out here. Look at that, there's the stovepipe right there. Can you guys see that through there? There's a stovepipe coming out of this thing. Yeah, so you can see the homestead there, and then right here was a porch coming off of it. So an interesting thing about this homestead is it was about 10 foot by 12 foot, or maybe 12 by 12. So the old gal that lived in this homestead was living a good chunk of her life in a 12 by 12 space in there. And in that 12 by 12 space, single room, she would have had a stove, her bed, probably a little bit of a table or a counter. There would have been an outhouse somewhere outside here, and that would have been her entire residence. So you think about, you know, nowadays we think a pretty small house is 900 to 1100 square feet, and she was living in about 144 square feet, or about the size of most of our small bedrooms. And we're going to jump back in the truck and head on to the next one. So the next place we're going to stop is going to be another homestead site, and then we've got one other thing we want to try to find before we get to camp, and that is a rumor of an old dump site. So we'll make those couple of stops, and along with anything else interesting we see along the way, and then we'll get back into where we're going to camp tonight. And we are going to camp tonight at just this absolutely amazing homestead. You guys are going to be really impressed with it. Also on this trip, a good friend of mine on Instagram, Mr. Nom Oracle Nut, sent me a big old care package full of some actual ramen noodles, some good stuff. So we're gonna see if we can't make us up an even more deluxe gourmet ramen dinner. All right, we got to pay pretty close attention in here because I'm not sure exactly where this little homestead is, number one. And number two, there also should have been some shearing sheds. They ran sheep in here for quite a while. And so I've seen some old pictures of some pretty major sheep shearing sheds. This was a pretty sizable operation at this little homestead, and we should be coming up on it relatively shortly. Wow, guys, check this out. So cool. So cool. Even though this is down, I can tell that it was built in a couple of phases. And one of the things that's really cool is a good portion of this was built with the old square nails. These square nails were really not being used very much by 1900 or so. And I believe this homestead was originally built in about 1888. And the square nails just kind of add a little bit of proof to that. Chimney falling down back there behind me in the middle of it. And I'll see if I can put a picture up on the screen here of what this homestead used to look like in its heyday. But it's pretty crazy. This was a pretty major operation in here. Old porcelain covered teacup. But it's got some writing on the bottom of it. It's like it says it was made in Sweden on the bottom of it. Interesting. Oh, that's a bed right there. Huh. Look at that old stove. I bet there's some treasures back in there, huh? So I'm curious where that old shearing shed would have been. So we're walking down here. There's the homestead up there. I see some old timbers down there. Here's an old barrel band. You can see up behind me this nice valley up here. And what they called this little homestead was they called it Gravy Gulch. And the reason they called it Gravy Gulch was because the old man said that they were always able to grow a little bit of wheat and they were always able to keep a milk cow alive up in this little valley. And as long as they had wheat to make flour and a cow to draw milk from, they would always have gravy on the table. So they called this Gravy Gulch. And I just found something really interesting here. Look at this. It's right in an anthill here, but it almost looks like a grave marker, and it's up on the point of this hill up here. So I'm wondering if it could potentially be a grave. And I see a few other stones up here. I don't know, it's a mystery. God, look how big these sagebrushes are right here. They're taller than I am. That's crazy. All right, we got a couple more miles to roll along here, and give me just enough time to get another cup of coffee in me. The thing about these roads back here is you pretty much can't take a drink of coffee while you're rolling. You gotta stop. Oh yeah, there's the old road running along beside me right there. Very interesting. We're tramping around in here looking for this dump, and so far I'm not finding any sign of anything like a dump. It seems like a long ways away from anything, unless there happened to be, and now I know there was an old sawmill in here somewhere, and if that old sawmill happened to be up above this draw, then that could potentially make sense. Looking really close down the side of the hill for any glass. Man, following this old roadbed here, which if there was a dump, there should have been a road going to it, but nobody's been on this road for a long time. There's just barely a trace of it left in here. It is pretty neat back in here though. Man, it's just really nice to be up here in the pine and fir forest. It's a little bit cooler. There's just a little bit of a breeze up here. A lot of wildlife in here, awesome elk habitat. Just really neat country up in here. All right, we are on the final approach in to where this really cool homestead is, where we're gonna camp tonight. And it's just so amazing to be back in a place like this where hardly anybody else has been to except for the people that we're related to or friends with, the family that homesteaded up here, and just a really cool experience. And guys, this will work, man. Let me show you this. This is just the coolest spot in the world. Check this out. This is going to be my camp spot right here, guys. Look what's up there behind me. All right, so first things first, or at least one of the first things first, we're going to go ahead and set up a little bit of our camp here. Actually, we might just go ahead and set up our whole camp, because we also need to do a little bit of setup for our Camp Talk Live tonight. And then I want to show you guys around this homestead site a little bit here before the night sets in. Whew, had a little bit of dust on it. Not too much. So we've got a pretty full load in the back of the truck. Well, I mean, it's not that much stuff, but it's a decently full load because we've got all of our relic hunting and treasure hunting gear in here too. So we've got metal detector and digging tools and all that stuff. So set up our little camp area right here. Like, I got a nice level spot for my table. I'm using this Wildland table and chair. All right, well, I started to set up my camp, but right now I'm gonna actually take a break and have a little snack. And man, I have one of my favorite snacks along, and that is baby oysters. And these ones are the butter and garlic flavor smoked oysters. Got to get the baby ones. I like these are the tiny ones. Oh yeah, this is gonna be delicious. Put that right there on the ground. That'll drive the coyotes crazy. And I got a little cream cheese. I like to have a little cream cheese with them, and then some light little crackers here. So delicious. Man, you cannot beat that. Cannot beat that. High fat, high protein. All right, well, we got camp set up, so let me show you guys that real quick. And it's set up a little bit different because right now it's set up in the configuration for me to do my Camp Talk Live video in just a couple of minutes. I've got two tables set up because my Camp Talk Live, I'm going to use a second table, my microphone, iPad, but I've got the Covea table, and then that's a box that my buddy James sent me, Oracle Nut, on Instagram, that we're going to open up on the live stream. There's my bed. I'm going to be sleeping in back of the soft topper tonight. It's all nice and set up. And then I've just got an absolutely amazing setting here. right by this old homestead. All right, guys, well, our camp is all buttoned up. We had our camp talk live. I'm getting hungry, so I think we're going to cook up some dinner here is going to be our next thing. And it's starting to cool off just a little bit too, so I'm going to throw a hoodie on. So yeah, so I set up actually a pretty deluxe camp. I actually have 2 tables set up, my chair, my 2-burner Covea camp stove there. Got my little wash station set up here with my Rotopack, so I'm just gonna rinse my hands a little bit. And let me show you guys what we're doing for dinner. All right, so for dinner tonight, I'm really excited about this. We're gonna do another gourmet ramen, but this is a little bit of a redo because, as I mentioned earlier, my buddy James Nom, Oracle Nut on Instagram, told me that I wasn't using legit noodles, so he sent me an amazing box of about 20 different kinds of ramen noodles. So I don't know, we've got a beef and fermented bean flavor, we've got Korean flavor, we've got spicy seafood flavor, we've got some of them I can't even read because the writing's all Oriental. So I don't know how I'm going to pick one, but I'm going to pick one of those ramens. And then here, I've got some fresh ingredients to dump in with it. So I've got some baby bell mushrooms, some bok choy, and some cilantro. You guys know I love all of those things. I've got 2 eggs, and I've got some shrimp. So what we're going to do is we're going to have us a nice kind of seafood egg drop gourmet ramen tonight. And the hardest choice is going to be to pick one of these flavors of noodles. All right, I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to try the kimchi flavor. Something a little bit different. It says it's seasoned with real kimchi. So yeah, let's give that a shot. All right, so the only thing I would say about this is there is a little bit of an art to the order of how to put together your gourmet ramen. So the first thing that generally you want to do is you want to put some water in the pot and then put your seasoning in and put your vegetables in, because those are generally going to take the longest. So in this case, I've got my Pathfinder stainless steel pot with a good amount of water in it, and we're just going to go ahead and add our kimchi and our spices right to the water. We're going to bring that water to a boil, then we're going to add our vegetables, and then we'll just start adding stuff from there. All right, let's get a... Yeah, fires up the first time. Man, this stove is so reliable. Like clockwork. All right, we can let that come to a boil, and then we'll add our vegetables. That's boiling nicely. Turn it down a little bit. Add all the veggies. Oh man, that smells so good with that cilantro in there. All right, that's looking pretty amazing. So we're going to toss the noodles in. And one thing I noticed about these is that's a nice big cake of noodles. Just going to give those noodles just a minute or 2 head start, and then I'm going to drop the shrimp in. That flavor is incredible. Man, that's going to be amazing. And I'm basically using a cooked shrimp out here, so all I really need to do is just heat these through. So I'll drop them in the pot and they'll only need a couple of minutes. So I'll put the shrimp in, I'll give them just like a minute or 2. I'll reduce the heat, drop it down just under a boil, and then drop my eggs in. All right, guys, let's see how she is. Oracle Nut, James, my buddy. Cheers, my friend. Man. All right, I got to tell you, these legit ramen noodles definitely make a difference. They've got the texture to them is just a little bit more authentic. They've got a little bit more chew to them, and the flavor. Oh, and all I used was the seasoning packets that came in with the noodles. Oh, wow. That is incredible. The cilantro, and there's actually a decent amount of spiciness to it. Incredible. Cheers, guys. I'm going to sit here and enjoy my dinner. Well, guys, that was an absolutely amazing dinner. And it's getting dark fast. Holy smokes, it's almost 9 o'clock. But I love this time of day, so I think we're going to sneak off and see if we can get in just a little bit of a walk. Check this out. What do you think? Is it haunted? No. We'll come back here tomorrow and I'll show you guys a really detailed look at it. So tonight, let's just take a little walk up top, walk out there, show you guys the well up here. I don't think I showed you that yet, and we'll see it. We'll look at it tomorrow when we have a little bit more light, and we'll actually drop our magnet down it. I brought our big, I think it's a 600-pound magnet. We'll drop it down in this well, do a little bit of magnet fishing tomorrow, see if there's any treasures down there. Look at that old hand dug well. You see anything down there? We're gonna have to wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be able to see more. So tonight, let's cover this thing back up. There we go. All right, let's see what else we can find out here. So it's starting to cool off a little bit, and when it comes to the rattlesnakes, usually, you know, they need to be like up in the 70s at least to be very active, and it's probably right on the edge of that right now. But out in this country, rattlesnakes are active at night. They are, they do hunt a lot at night because a lot of the animals that they hunt are only active at night. A lot of the mice, things like that. So you do have to be careful when you're walking at night out here, especially when the temperatures are warm. There's the remnants of the old barn behind us. We'll check that out a little bit more tomorrow. Remnants of the old wooden fence right there. And I know you guys can't see very well at night, but basically this whole area out here would have been their fields. Basically, I'm walking on this little lane, and everything to the right of this lane would have all been their wheat fields. That whole other hillside over there, this whole area in here. I think we're going to start working our way back to camp. I don't know if you can see the lights fading fast, but there's our camp down there. Really nice little walk this evening. And I just wanted to take a couple of minutes, say thank you to all you guys that kick a couple of bucks into the Gas and Tire Fund by clicking on the PayPal donate link in the description of my videos down below. Really appreciate you guys, man. And those contributions go a long ways towards helping me cover a lot of the gear that goes into producing these videos out here. That's crazy how quick it gets dark. Once that sun goes below the top of the hills over there on the horizon, it starts getting dark quick. Again, man, really appreciate all the contributions to the Gas and Tires Fund. If you want to make a monetary contribution to my channel, click on the PayPal donate link in the description down below. Look at that. There's the Overlander. Old 1999 GMC. Still trucking along. Carried my grandpa out in the backcountry. Now it's carrying me out in the backcountry. Ah, that was a nice little walk. Yeah, I don't think I'm even going to do a fire tonight. It's I don't really need it for warmth, and it's late enough now that it's almost dark, and probably turn the light off, listen to the sounds of the evening for a few minutes, and then get cleaned up and crawl up into my comfy little abode back there. All right, well, I'm snugged up in the canopy in here. I'm looking forward to another really nice night's sleep. Man, this bedroll pad that I made up for this is just deluxe. It's about 2.5 inches thick of kind of a soft foam, and then I've got about a 1 inch thick, more rigid foam pad on the underneath side, so it's just really, really comfortable. Yep, got everything I need in here. Got my GAT, got an extra light here, my phone. I actually have my buddy heater sitting in here tonight, but I doubt that I'll use it. It's super comfortable. I really enjoy sleeping in the back of the canopy, or camping in the back of the canopy, man. It's just such an easy way to go. Well, guys, I've just been laying here reading a little bit, and I'm getting pretty drowsy. Sorry I didn't get to show you around the homestead a little bit tonight, but we'll get on that first thing tomorrow. I'm going to show you guys around that probably right after we have a little bit of breakfast and some coffee in the morning. So that's all for this day, guys. Coyote Works out. I'll see y'all in the morning for coffee. Good morning, guys. Wow, check out this view out there. I got to tell you guys, for me, that's pretty cool, is waking up staring out at this old homestead, man. Anyway, I'm just having a little bit of my morning coffee. I'm getting ready to go on a little walk, have a little breakfast, and really just looking forward to exploring around this place a little bit more. Get geared up. Have a little cup of coffee here is going to be my first priority. I can't even tell you guys just how absolutely amazingly beautiful it is here. Breakfast this morning, we're keeping it simple. I've got obviously some coffee going on right there, and then I like these Naked Mighty Mango drinks for in the morning. They're basically just pureed fruit, a yogurt, then I've got some sausage going in the pan right there. So that'll be a light breakfast, but it'll give me some decent fat and protein to start the day, and then we'll get that in me, and then we'll show you guys around this old homestead site. Alright, well, we had some breakfast and just went on a really short little morning walk, and I think I want to show you guys something. I found some pretty interesting stuff on this hillside back up behind the truck. So we're going to get into this homestead. I know I keep telling you guys that, but let's walk over here really quick, and I want to show you guys. And hopefully we'll be able to find some more pieces of what I found up here on my walk earlier. There it is. Do you see that? These are nice little chunks of agate laying all over this hillside. In fact, right there, there's a whole little pile of them, even smaller ones. Yeah, pretty interesting. So, we're gonna hike up this hill a little bit and see if we can find some bigger chunks of it, because we've got a tile saw at home, and if we can find some nice sized chunks, we can probably cut them at home and polish them and come up with some pretty cool little specimens. Do you see any, guys? As we work our way up this hill, theoretically, the higher up the hill we get, what is that right there? It's kind of cool. Not an amazing one. I think we can find better. Yeah, lizard, guys. He didn't like me messing around with him. He took off pretty fast. Well, seeing that lizard, one thing is, this is a little pro tip for you guys. One thing is, if you're seeing the lizards out, that means the snakes will be out too, because they operate in real similar temperature ranges. One thing about this is you can see how they did all this juniper abatement in here within the last couple of years. And what's crazy is just within a few years of all the junipers being harvested out of here, how healthy this range is, how much the native bunch grasses are coming back in. And around in this country, these junipers are a pretty invasive species. So it's pretty cool to see the restoration process out here. All of these juniper trees that grew up out here that are now cut down grew out here since like the 1920s and the 1930s. The junipers rob all the nutrients and all the moisture out of the soil. And the only way to restore that balance is to come in and cut all of the juniper out. Now I just keep going a little bit further, a little bit further. There's some horse poop. Wonder if there's a few wild horses up in here. It's quite possible that there could be. They could easily come down here from an area where I've seen them up in the Ochocos up that way. Look at this. And then right next to it is this. Okay. So what's interesting about these is these are actually flakes. You can tell they're lithic flakes. They're flakes that came off of something intentionally. So a human struck these off of a larger piece in the process of making some kind of a tool. And this one, you can tell it's got that razor sharp edge. So what that tells me is a native sat up here and made a tool or reshaped a tool or something like that. So we got to look really close in this area for more sign. All this rock has been worked by the hands of man, and you can tell that by like these what they call conchoidal fractures, which is where flakes are taken off either with percussion strikes or with pressure. Let me see if I can find a piece. Here's one where you can really see those small little conchoidal fractures right around the edge there. See how they're kind of curved? Those are only created by someone pressure flaking or percussion flaking it. So it's really interesting. We got all this different kind of material here. All this material is natural in this area. So the natives were up here using it to their advantage and making tools with it. So we're on the way back now, but basically what we walked down through is this whole area where all the junipers were cut. This is still part of where all their fields were. I found an old bottle laying out there in the field, which is, probably got tossed out of the wagon by the old ranch hand that was driving the wagon out there, that the binded bundles of grain were being put in. We're almost back to camp. We're going to grab something to drink, and then we're going to explore this homestead site. Some pretty cool rocks here. Some nice chunks of deep glassy agate. Really like those. Those will clean up very nice. This is kind of cool. Found this old bottle out there in the field. Yeah, just a lot of interesting. This was a nice chunk of jasper here. Been broke off. This was flaked off by one of the natives out here. And yeah, just some pretty cool stuff. I think we're going to take a couple of minutes and actually button up a little bit of our camp really quick here. I'll put the ready light away. It is fully charged. I'm obviously not going to need my bedroll anymore, so I'm going to roll it up. Alright, I got most of the low-hanging fruit stuff buttoned up from my camp, and I just left a little bit of stuff out in case I want to have some lunch before I leave here or something. Wanted a table, a chair, and then of course I got my relic hunting gear out because we're going to do some relic hunting here at the homestead. Alright, let's walk up and see this homestead. I know you guys have been dying to see it. So obviously this building right here is the actual homestead. This is where the 2 adults and all of the girls slept, all of the girls in the family. So remember I said there was 11 children and 2 adults. So, and then right up there, that is the bunkhouse. And that bunkhouse is where the boys slept. They slept upstairs, and the downstairs was like a root cellar. So this, you can see the shelves in here. This was cool storage for food or long-term food storage in here. These back here, I think, were granaries. So that's where they just kept bulk grain back there, and that was probably grain that they mined out or that they harvested off of their field. Then look up here, see how thick these walls are? And they were originally filled with sawdust to help keep the temperature constant in here. And we're gonna wander around and I'll show you guys the loft, because the stairs where the boys got in were back here. So the stairs aren't there anymore, but that's the upstairs loft. That's where the boys lived up there. Let's see if we can makeshift us up a step here. Maybe I can get a toe hold on that, you think? Yeah, look at all the shoes in here. Shoes and glass. So supposedly, at least in later years, old man that lived here, the father, was quite the drinker. Now what I want you guys to think about is this space up here is about, just maybe a little bit over, maybe 14 feet by 12 feet. And this is where at least 4, maybe 5 boys slept up here. And as you can imagine, that's probably about all they did up there was sleep. There just wouldn't have been room for much more. All right, and over there's the wood shed, up there's the chicken coop, and over there's the barn. So let's go over here to the wood shed, and I'll show that to you guys. That was the wood shed. And then I think also they stored pelts and stuff in there. So this up here was the chicken coop. They raised chickens. And I want you to think about how many chickens or how many eggs that it would take to feed a family of 13 people, 11 kids. So you figure that took 26 eggs if every person was going to have 2 eggs. And then over here is the barn. And it's mostly collapsed, but it would have been pretty amazing back in its heyday. Pretty major barn for a place like this. All right, so we got homestead, bunkhouse, barn, chicken coop, wood shed, and we got one more building over here we'll check out. Yeah, so rumor has it that old man Frank was quite a drinker, especially in later years. So that's why so many whiskey bottles around here, I'm guessing. And even we found that whiskey bottle way out there in the field where they would have been harvesting out there. And this is pretty cool here. This was quite an operation. Look at this. Some kind of old farm equipment or something. There's some more right down there. Old crock. But this would have been like the tool shed. Always checking for rattlesnakes. Look at all those little cubbies right there. Oh, there's the box of some kind of a wagon, or yeah, I don't really know what that is. There's some gears and stuff. And then look at this. This is an old binder right here. This was a machine that took the bundles of harvested rye or wheat and bundled them up. Hopefully you guys can see that. International Harvester, Deering, New Deal. And then right up there, it says McCormick. Yeah, so that's an old binder. You don't see too many of those. Look at the toolbox up on the side of it up there. That's probably where old man Frank put his whiskey bottle, I bet. Look at this right here. It's all basically rotted into the ground, but this was an old piece of farm equipment right here, believe it or not. And then up here, here's an axle, an old wooden axle. Look at that lizard scampering over there. Old wooden axle, oh, 2 of them. Yep, so this was a wagon right here. Now we're gonna walk down here. This would have been the front yard right here. This would have been where the kids would have played, right down here in the shade of these big old trees. And I think this is where we're going to start and concentrate our metal detecting efforts. And I'll probably do a complete separate video on that. But real quick, let's take a look at the inside of this place. Yeah, look at this. It's kind of a wreck. Master bedroom here on the left. Got some shelving in there. Yeah, the ceiling's starting to cave through. This place isn't going to make it much longer. Table right there. So this would have been the living room. What's interesting is this room that I'm standing in right here, back here behind me, this, and then this room in here, this was the original homestead. This ground floor and the upper floor. That part back there that you're seeing through the window, that used to be an exterior wall right there, and they added on that other piece. So this looks pretty sketchy in here, but we are going to see if we can get up these stairs. God, it smells bad in here. Rats. I wanted to see if we can show you guys. Yeah, this is pretty sketchy. This thing could come down at any minute, but this up here is where I was telling you guys, this is where those girls lived. So they actually had quite a bit more space than the boys. There's an old bed frame right there. Nice and wide, like it's like a twin size. Probably 2 or maybe even 3 girls slept on that bed. That shelf over there in the corner. The roof on that side is in worse shape because that's where it's facing more of the weather. All right, let's walk around the side. There's my camp over there. Look at this. I don't know if that's a wisteria vine. Big old vine growing up along the side of the house. Probably helped shelter that side of the house from the sun, kept it just a little bit cooler. Now here you can really see, so the main house is that part over there, and then this part over here was the part that got added on later. And it looks like this was primarily a kitchen, because there's one stove right there. Oh, look at that little lizard right there. He thinks he's pretty sneaky, doesn't he? And there's another stove back in there. Jesus. If I don't step on a rattlesnake in here, I don't know what. So this was probably almost all kitchen facility in here. Cool old shelf right there. And here you can really see this used to be the exterior of the structure here. Yeah, so the 2 stoves would have taken a lot of burner space to cook for 13 people. Now let's go over and look at this trough real quick. This trough I put in a couple of weeks ago with the owners of the property. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Right here, this pipe where you see that water coming out, that's actually just piped up the hillside. And right up there, that sagebrush right there is where the well is. And that's where this water is coming from. All right, let's go up here and check out this well. All right, check it for rattlesnakes. We don't hear anything buzzing there, so let's pull these boards back. We'll get her opened up and we'll see what she looks like. Bleep! There's a rattlesnake in there. All right, guys. Well, I can't find this rattlesnake in here, and I'm thinking there might even be 2. So I'm out here a long ways away from anywhere, and I'm all by myself. So I don't want to mess around too much. It's just not smart. If I get bit by a rattlesnake out here, man, I'm probably at least 2 hours drive from a hospital, and I guess we're gonna have to save magnet fishing this well for another day. But I just don't want to go reaching my hands in there and prying these boards out. That's it. I guess we save this one for another day. right, it's getting hot out there. I think the relic hunting's done. I found a couple of pretty interesting things. I'll show those to you guys in another video when I can go into a little bit more detail on that stuff. But for now, I think we're gonna throw the rest of our camp in the truck. This time of year, when it starts getting summertime, that I'll use the mornings and the evenings to do my hikes, and then this hot middle part of the day, I'll use this time of day to actually drive around, enjoy the little bit more cool climate controlled environment of the rig. All right, we got a pretty serious water crossing right here, guys. We're just kind of working our way back towards the main road. We've got about 5-6 miles left to go through here, and it's just really neat country in here. Right now we're going through kind of a canyon up in the ponderosa pine forest. It was a short little trip, but much needed, and this is a really special place back in here, and I'm just really grateful to be able to explore back here and have the opportunity to go in this area a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed joining me for this trip. I know I sure always enjoy having you guys along. I look forward to your comments, your questions, and above all, I look forward to seeing you on the next adventure. Until then, Coyote Works out.